Hi, Dr. Mark here for Natural Health. Hope you're having a great day. We're ready for our health shop this evening on nerve degeneration. And just a little history of what Natural Health, we haven't done that, given any history for a while. We've been here going on 38 years and doing chiropractic and nutrition this whole time. We've added some energy work with Master Eddie. He'll be up here in a little while talking about that. Tonight we're going to talk about neurodegeneration, kind of with Alzheimer's and different things like that. So I'm going to start with the nutritional work here. Also, this is being live streamed on Instagram and Facebook, so that if you have any questions, you can put that in the comment sections, and we'll try to get those questions answered. Also, eventually we'll have this on Brighteon.com, and we like Brighteon because it's an uncensored video platform. YouTube is great. We're still there, so hey, our opinion doesn't count much there, so that's a good deal. But also, we just like to have these independent people too, and can get on their stuff. Because Brighteon has a lot of the videos that have been censored on YouTube are on Brighteon.com, so you can find some of the independent doctors talking about things there. Pretty. But anyway, we'll get into our topics tonight. We're talking about neurodegeneration. I'm going to go over some of the causes nutritionally. Now. One of the problems we see in the mainstream medical field is they don't really want to work on causes, or they don't know anything about causes. They're looking at treatment, and that's what allopath means. It means treating a problem, which is fine. That's great. But there's also ways of removing the cause and getting the persons and peoples not to have these problems. And they're not looking at any of those solutions, just looking at treatment and therapy. We see that on the ADHD line too, where not looking at any causes, let's just get more therapists working. So, we want to try to avoid these problems and get people to be vibrant and healthy. So we'll go into what we look at as some of the causes. First one, poor diet and eating a lot of refined carbs. Now, in the literature, they're talking about Alzheimer's and those type of brain dementia things being actually type 3 diabetes. Where the brain becomes insulin resistant, and the blood sugar goes up, and even the brain sugar goes up. The brain can't use the sugars for food because it's insulin resistant, and a lot of problems there. So it's a type of diabetes, and people that are diabetic, of course, have a lot higher ability to get Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. So it's just really important. The poor diet, of course, you are what you eat. And again, medics don't look at it like that. They kind of look at it as a broken machine. But in the natural health field, we're looking at the body having the innate ability to heal itself. It has the ability. It's been doing it for thousands of years. And so a lot of these diseases we're seeing, like Alzheimer's and things, are coming from the last 5 decades of bad information by the powers that be about foods and things, eating way too much refined carbs, the fast foods, all that kind of stuff, not getting good nutrition in general. And we're going to talk about fats especially too. We've been told not to eat fats. Talk about that here pretty quick. We'll go on to the next one. In cholesterol and statins, just talking about fats. So for years now we've been told, oh, you can't have saturated fat, your cholesterol's high, blah, blah, blah. And so what is your brain? Your brain is 60 to 80% cholesterol by weight. Your brain needs cholesterol. Your liver makes cholesterol on purpose. If your cholesterol is high, it's because you have a problem in there. The body's trying to heal it, trying to figure it out. And people that then they put you on statins because you're afraid you have a stroke, well, that's an important thing to do. We understand the reasoning there, but figure out the reason why the problem's there. Statins work by stopping the liver from making cholesterol. And that's a terrible way of handling that problem. You're not getting to the underlying causes as to why the liver is making it and to why the body needs it in the first place. And if you stop making cholesterol, your cholesterol gets low, your brain can't repair itself. Your brain, the insulators of the brain, the myelin sheaths, is cholesterol. And that comes from good fats, too. That's really important to help with that. So you really want to get, even your fats have all your oil-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Good quality fats are important. And then, again, the body making cholesterol is the key there. Why those numbers up? Don't just suppress the number. Let's go ahead and get to the cause. And again, that's what we do at Natural Health, is help patients to find the cause. Get them off statins. Statins have their own other problems too, where they're very hard on the nerves, on the muscles. People that a lot of times it's a side effect of statins start to lose strength in their legs, get very weak. It affects the heart, causes the heart to have problems. Again, it's very hard on the muscles, and it's kind of a permanent thing too. So anyway, lots of things we do with that to get patients off of statins. That's one of the first drugs. When we get patients to come here, figure out their diet, get them doing better, try to get them off the statins. One of the first things, because they cause so much trouble and they're used by everyone. So a big thing there, big reason that we want to get people understand why they need saturated fats. Again, to help to protect the brain, to feed the brain, and keep the brain, the nerves insulated so it's not shorting out and you're losing your memory and all that kind of stuff. So it makes pretty good sense, really. Again, another reason is high stress and poor sleep. So people that are under a lot of stress, for whatever reason, whether it's from family stress or work stress or whatever, again, that adds up over long periods of time. And then the body just doesn't work well. They're anxious and things. Poor sleep. That's another one. A lot of people that have all kind of other issues will have poor sleep. For instance, if you're taking statins and your liver's all messed up, well, about 2 o'clock you're going to be awake because your liver's trying to work to get this all figured out. And the liver between 1 and 3 is liver time, and you'll wake up at 2 o'clock, around 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2:30, all the time. So really important to get your body away from as much stress as possible. And there's ways of doing that. Master Ida talks about that in a lot of the work he does. So that's interesting. And then get some good sleep. Most people that have problems with sleep are deficient in B vitamins, especially the ones that help parasympathetic system, the system that helps with the rest and relax and digest system. So most of the people that have problems, again, the high stress people are just stressed out, they're anxious, they never calm down, and your bodies never repair. So important to work that out. That might be my last. The next one here, I thought this was interesting. When I had the boys make this up, they didn't know what the boob tube was. So that's an old saying, of course, for me, looking at just watching the TV too much and not being active, not getting out there, being positive, talking to people, keeping your mind active, doing word puzzles, things like that. I mean, most everyone knows this now, Sudoku and all these little word games on your phone, all that kind of stuff. Keeps your brain active. If you sit in front of the boob tube, of course right now it's all propaganda anyway, and it's fear and all that stuff. You want to look at getting positive things, keeping the body positive, always working towards more energy, more positive, more activity, much as possible. And again, that comes, the activity and being able to be active and vibrant comes from good diet and good lifestyle choices and things where, what we do at Natural Health, keeping the people looking at getting healthy and staying healthy and being healthy their whole life. So I think that does it for me. Dr. Chip is up next. He's going to tell you about some good chiropractic stuff, and then Master Ed will be up. So here he is. All right, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Chip here. So again, we're going to talk about the 3 stresses again, but more kind of talk about the physical and a little bit of the thought and emotional, and Eddie will take it kind of further into that. So again, what are the 3 causes of stress? Again, it's the physical or the trauma, the nutritional, again, what Dr. Mark was talking about, kind of the foods that we're eating, any chemicals, but again, we've been kind of, you would say, geared or kind of directed towards this bad way of eating. Again, we think that we are victims of our lives and that, it doesn't matter what we eat, we're going to end up being that way forever. Again, food is so important, and it's, again, I think Hippocrates said is that let food be thy medicine. So if we're really making sure that we're eating the right foods, it's going to help alleviate that stress. And then again, your emotional and thoughts. So we'll kind of dive into it. So the physical, again, with this nerve degeneration or these nerve diseases, we gotta make sure that we're moving properly. Again, proper movement throughout the day not only stimulates our bodies to function properly, to get the blood flowing, but you could say is more getting the blood to flow to the brain and getting the brain to be activated. Recreation, fun, and play. Why I put that is that, again, we can move all the time, we can do physical activities, but if we're not having fun, at least some of the days or in time, and then sometimes during the week, fun or play or recreation is actually stimulating different muscles that helps rewire the brain in a better way. It helps give us a more of a calming experience. Now, the physical activity like workouts and all that, that's great, but it's not really fun for some people, and that can lead to kind of overdoing it and becoming exhausted. But the fun or play really helps the body to actually enjoy the experience, which releases different chemicals in the body and really activates different neural pathways in the brain, allowing for better nerve life and nerve health. And then again, new information, physically, reading books or physically doing something else. That's why, like vacations, people can love what they do, but a lot of times people just need a vacation to do something different. Again, that helps the brain to rewire a little differently and not get stuck in a kind of the same thing over and over and over again. Because when we keep doing the same thing over and over, not getting any new information in our lives, then our brains start to kind of, you would say, degenerate or get stuck to old kind of connections and all that. So that if we're doing new things, if we're having new experiences, you would say the brain can actually start to rewire a little differently, helping it to have better health. Okay, so thoughts and emotions. So I'm going to briefly go over this, and Eddie will talk a bit more about it when he comes up. So, overloaded. Again, many people tend to get more overloaded with different thoughts and stress throughout the day, and they don't take a breath, or they don't rest, or they don't just relax for a little bit. They can't, it's hard for them to quiet down their minds. Again, they don't practice it enough so that when it comes time, when the stress is building up, they kind of go crawl into a bed, or they have an issue, it's a headache or anything like that. And again, if we're not really understanding that can overload the system, our brain becomes fried. It becomes this big issue, and that can lead to different illnesses. Fear and worry. So again, when we kind of keep having fear or worry, we need to make sure, we need to take a plan of action to either eliminate that so that we do something so we're not fearing or worrying about something, or we need to make sure that we just stay calm and know kind of, hey, things are going to work out. They worked out before. Why wouldn't they work out this time? And so a lot of times we get caught in this fear-worry trap, and that causes havoc not only on our brains but our bodies. And that causes a very stressful response. It really shuts down a lot of the biological processes, and that can even cause, again, some neural issues. Brain and nervous system exhaustion. Again, having an overloaded amount of thoughts, having a lot of fear and worry, it overloads or it exhausts the brain and the mind, so that when you try to do more things, your brain is way too exhausted and it becomes oversensitive. So even small stress now, because you've chronically stressed it out, will actually make your body more at a vulnerable state of dis-ease. And again, just find time for yourself. That can be night and morning, can be sometime throughout the day, but just plan, again, at least, say 10 or 20 minutes for yourself to really make sure that we're kind of calming the brain and body so that we can actually handle that stress throughout the day. Again, nerve disease. So again, chronic stress kind of coming from that physical, nutritional, or the thoughts and emotion causes an unbalanced body. And again, with the nerve degeneration or nerve diseases such as kind of brain fog or kind of leading to dementia or anything like that, that's the improper brain functioning leading to a dis-ease. And then you would say is that when we have improper brain functioning, our brains control the rest of our body. And so our nerves and all that control a lot of our bodily functions, being the organ and the organ systems. So if the brain can't do what it's supposed to do, if it's getting too overloaded, then we have body system dysfunction. So that means that we'll have different illnesses throughout the body. So that's why it's so important to really control what you are thinking and being aware of your own thoughts and emotions and getting time to move, eating the right foods, and handling that stress in your own time. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Eddie, and he'll take it away from there. Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Ship. So now I'm going to go over emotions when it comes to nerves, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different route and just kind of going over what emotion really means, how it pertains in my mind. Because emotion, you can kind of essentially say it's just an energy in motion. When we look at everything in this room, all the technology that goes into everything is essentially energy. But when we look at emotions, we can look at, yes, it's an energy in motion, but it's a magnetic, essentially, according to quantum physics, that is putting the energy in motion. So for instance, if I love cupcakes, I'm probably going to try to find a way inside of this reality to get me some cupcakes. Or this can go any single emotions that we can use negatively or physically. So emotions, we can kind of talk about nerve disease, but let's just talk about things getting on my nerves. We're getting so frustrated, we're using anger or hate or anything like that. The way we look at getting on my nerves, if we consistently and persistently resist a lot of these things, we're essentially using the emotion of anger or frustration or anything like that. Well, that is putting energy in motion, and it's going to magnetize that back into your own life. So if you're going to resist something and say, oh, I can't deal with it right now, or it's not time for this, or you're using some type of emotion, it's going to persist. And that's going directly as we look at, don't react to a situation, just respond. Usually when responding to a situation, tendency sees the other side or the other party kind of normalize within itself. So the fact that we don't react to situations, we're not fueling the fire, I guess you can use it as that an example. But if we respond to it, we're essentially getting rid of that energy in motion. We're normalizing the magnetic charge within that situation or topic that we had that emotion tied to. So I'm always going back to the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is so big when it comes to habitual mind. So if we consistently do this reaction over and over and over and over again, don't be surprised that it's going to persist and come back to you. But if we use much more positive emotions, we can find ourselves being able to use this mind and make it much more of a habit mind for the things that we really want to bring back into our lives. Now, the same rules apply, negative or positive. So if we find ourselves responding and we're using a lot of these positive emotions, we will find itself not really resist, persist, but really it's going to come back in the manner that we really want it to happen. And I wanted to bring up a little things, because when we talk about emotion, we talk about thoughts, we talk about the minds, we find ourselves getting to the situation, well, what can I do? What can I help, get rid of this overwhelming mind that I have, that I'm using a lot of these emotions that's putting the energy in motion with negative emotions or some positive emotions that just might not fit right with the place right now. And I wanted to bring up some statistics that kind of talking about meditation within itself. Some people, they don't like even the word meditation, because it seems that I'm demanding them to do something, or they're really talking about emotions, especially for a guy. A guy doesn't like talking about emotions. But I wanted to bring it up to you for the reasons to practice meditation. If you had any of these issues within your life, it says depression is getting relieved, stress is getting relieved, anxiety is getting relieved. It helps with memory and focus, improves the energy, and just overall wellness and well-being. I want to illustrate this because the power of meditation, with my own personal actions, as well as the research that I'm getting, is finding out that I'm not the only person. There's so many more people out there, and it's actually a huge, huge trend. With going off of mindful journal publications, back when it was back in 2000, there was only about, a 10 count, what they're kind of stating. But now we're all the way up in 2018, we're up to 842. So many, many people in the United States, and I don't know if this is the entire world, but what it's looking at here is many people are understanding that the power behind its emotions, and when it comes to the actual quieting of the mind and the potentials behind it. It's just a matter of bringing it to your awareness so we can work on yourselves, and the inner work as your outer work will reflect it. Another one I have here is a global consumer of the spending in top 10 earning meditation apps. So a lot of these apps that are coming out here, we started out back in 2015 that was having a revenue of 8 million. Well, already in 2019, we're at $195 million in revenue that's getting from these meditation apps, which is essentially stating that people are understanding the power behind their emotions and doing something about it. So people are getting much, much calmer. This may be my last one, but it's the mindful apps due to the market, which is pretty interesting too, because this red line, you can kind of see it, is actually the upward of alternative healthcare providers. We can also see that a lot of these, if you want to look at it in this guy, that these guys are using these apps that are essentially that are increasing it. They're finding out the potential behind the emotions behind it. And the big one I want to talk about, meditation. It has so many things that can do for you, and even just increases your attention span. It increases your immunity, stress relief, reduces aging. You appreciate life much, much more. It helps with your brain and so many things. If we get rid of the negative emotions that are trapped in our mind, if you want to call it that, but it uses as a habit, if we stop using those negative emotions and get ourselves back into our calm, our loving, our joyful, our happy, our peaceful, we get inspired for being who we are inside as well. So we can see ourselves becoming this completely different person just by meditation. Where you look at the translation of meditation, I believe it's becoming familiar with thyself. Thyself is not someone that's responding or is not reacting to every situation that's out there. It's the self that's calm, it's peaceful. It's the same peaceful as if we're calm as like a baby or a kid. We're much playful, we're recreational, we love life, no matter what it is. We're not angry or reacting to everything around here. So meditation is so powerful, and it really 10 minutes a day. Start her out, make it a habit. 10 minutes, maybe 1 week do 10 minutes, make a habit out of it, knock off a block throughout the day, and then progressively go more depending on how much time you have throughout the day. But really, you can do it with anything. Like if you start cooking, you can do a breathing meditation when that comes. Anything throughout the day could be potentially a meditation within itself. And the biggest one that a lot of people I think have struggles with is breathing in itself. We tend to breathe through our nose or through our mouths, which we don't really have the whole mechanics down yet as a collective, of finding out the true power, what breath really does to help calm the nervous system down, so we don't have chronic stress going out through our entire lives. So that's the big guy that we have on meditation, and that's what I have about the emotional section. The upcoming health shops that we have is next week. It's really going to be down the same lines for me, but it's how to prevent these diseases. So we're all going to have our own little illustrations on how to help that. And then we're going to be on Instagram and Facebook as we are now at Natural Health Quincy IL. We're also at Natural Health Quincy on YouTube and Brighteon. You can always schedule an appointment with us. Give us a call at 217-228-2040, and we're located at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois, 62301. Thank you so much, and have a great day.